tried not to get the jump button too sweaty for you, so hopefully
it's all good.
It's all good.
So I'm taking over again because David can't handle this game.
I can't. I've been playing too many visual novels lately. I don't even know how to play a platformer anymore, so.
I don't even think you've ever played like an actual visual novel.
No, I haven't.
It's kind of boring, unfortunately. You think I would like it more? But the ones where you're genuinely just like advancing slides are usually pretty boring.
Yeah, I feel like you need to be in the mood for it.
No, but even then, it's like, well, I'd rather read a book or watch a cartoon, not have like.
I have to press the A button.
And have like PNG, and it kind of like dictates your pace too.
Yeah.
And it's not like an audiobook where it's like I can wash my car or something while I'm doing it.
Yeah, because not everything's voice acted, obviously, because that would take way too much.
I'm gonna try and find Cranky. That's gonna be the mission for today.
This is where the
Funky is. Is there anything else over here?
I don't think so. No, because you need to get that flower over there. There is one area, like if you go to the right, we haven't gone down that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that takes you to the big mushroom. Yeah, that one there.
What's the worst job interview you've ever had?
I don't know. Well, I can tell you my worst job experience. It was kind of like an interview, kind of not. I got wrapped into doing selling those knives.
Oh,
when
was that?
It was after senior year of high school.
That sounds so unlike you.
See, it was funny because it was Katie and me.
Oh my god, two people would be like, no offense, but you guys aren't
we'd
like
be
salesmen.
The worst. We'd be the worst because I'd be like, don't buy these are pieces of shit. But that's why I left the first day of training, because you like went there and they were like, oh, we got to interview everyone, and then Katie and I got interviewed, and then of course we like were accepted because that's how they get you, is they make you think that you're like interviewing for something. It's
competitive, but they'll hire anyone.
So I went to the first day of training, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta leave, and it was like 2 hours, and I gotta go. But Katie stayed for the second day, and the woman who was in charge of it kept calling me the second day and was like, you can still work here, you can still work here. Oh.
That's not a good sign.
And I'm like, oh no. So I just left and didn't tell anyone.
What made you want to do that?
Because Katie said we should do it, and that was back when I wasn't as. I still have problems with like asserting myself, but I was even worse at asserting myself back
So you
then.
didn't want to do it; you were just being nice.
Yes, I was being nice because Katie was like, we should do it, and I'm like,
I wonder. I gotta ask her what made her want to do that, because it sounds like
we should talk about it on the road trip.
You and Katie, and I don't know how to phrase this correctly, but I've never taken you for the types to have like conventional jobs.
And yet I've had the most conventional jobs out of.
I don't mean like that per se. I mean like you guys would never work at like Target.
Oh, I applied for Target. I didn't even get an interview.
I got interviewed at Target once, and they did not hire me.
I thought it was BS because maybe I was overqualified because this was last summer, so I like already taught high school and everything, and I was just applying for a summer job. So I'm sure.
But like they said, you haven't worked like a fast food job or like a retail job. That's what I mean.
I did work in a factory for like a couple of weeks.
Factories
Luckily,
suck.
they were the worst. Luckily, I got called for jury duty, so I got to like stay out of work for a week, which was nice.
I think those are probably some of the worst jobs I've had are factory jobs. The plastics molding factory wasn't horrible. It was just like 12-hour shifts. Sucks.
Yeah.
Also, just like having to smell burning plastic all day. I don't know how people. Oh, Lanky doesn't get anything.
You need 15 banana mentals. You don't have any.
You get paid. That's for a different thing, David. You don't pay attention. I'm trying to get potions. They cost coins.
Oh.
Keep these currencies in mind.
Ugh, too many. If I was deeply invested, I would be paying attention. But alas. Yep, this is the big old mushroom.
But the factory jobs. I don't know how people. I've never had to work a factory job for never more than like 2 or 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
But it's like literally like you go there and you do a small menial task, like cut a piece of plastic off a bigger piece of plastic, and then you repeat doing that for 12 hours. Or the cookie factory I worked at, it's like pick up a tray of cookies, and then you bend over, and then you put that tray on a conveyor belt that is a foot lower than the previous conveyor belt it was on, and that's 10 hours of your life.
And it's funny because then like a lot of the people that work those jobs are then like people who are like, oh yeah, capitalism's like cool. The government's fine.
You make a lot of money doing them too.
Depends on which factory you work at, I guess.
Well, the ones around here, I know the cookie factory, that was like $17 an hour or something ridiculous.
Dang, that's
And
nice.
they paid overtime too, because they couldn't keep people because it was so crap. Well,
yeah,
the hard
that's
thing
the
is,
thing. You gotta pay people because it's a shit.
nobody wants
Crappy
to.
job.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
And you got to
I
take.
almost swore, but I didn't want YouTube to demonetize us.
You got to take a garbage bag full of cookie dough home every day.
Ooh, I remember
It's
eating
when
that.
you used
That
to
was
come
fun.
over here every day during the summer and eat so much cookie dough.
Yeah. And then I wondered why I was gaining weight.
I guess only Donkey Kong gets a new potion. I
it's
thought
down.
everybody would. That's weird. Oh no, I think when you... You know what? Yeah, everybody gets the upgrading bit. That's right. That's why I was confused.
Sweet.
What's in the big mushroom?
I think it's like a platforming section.
Let's check it out.
I can't wait to see how this turns out.
But you've never had like a bad job interview?
I've never had a bad job interview.
I've had some bad ones.
What was your worst one?
I've done probably a lot more
Yeah, I
job
was gonna say you've
interviews
probably
than
done
you.
more than me because
I've probably done like 30 job interviews in my life. I like to think, this is me every time I do a job. I'm like, you know what? My application isn't great, but I come across way better in person than I do on paper. And then I get there and I do the interview, and I'm like, I hope they just look at my application and don't think of the interview.
I feel like I do way better on interviews than I do with like with the resume. I don't know.
It depends. So there's a barrel there. Am I timed to get up there, I bet? Yeah, okay. I wanted to just see a little bit more of the place so I knew where I had to go.
Yeah, I haven't really, because like for Bridge, the place I've worked at for like the past 6 summers, I never really had an interview because they knew who I was. Because I had already like volunteered there.
Nepotism.
Well, I already volunteered there and I knew a bunch of people who were there.
Nepotism.
Right? Hey, for care jobs, I'm fine with nepotism because
Yeah, I think they need as many
they
people
need.
as they can.
Well, and also it's like if they know you can do a good job, then
What is this? What is this?
because there are so many people that can't do good
Oh,
jobs.
these are pretty easy,
Speedy
I
swing
think.
sortie.
Sortie?
I don't
I think it
know.
was sortie as in like a mission.
I always felt like that word was weird. Well, it's French. Obviously.
It's like an army word. It's the only time I ever heard it.
I think it's French. Oop.
Okay.
Attaboy.
And then I gotta...
Jump. Oh!
I missed it. I'm not too worried. I think I can still get this.
Gosh, these camera angles are just brutal.
They are, but I'm not afraid.
Like Eminem.
Yes.
Oh!
Can I climb this? No. Okay. Oh,
Rip.
wait, maybe? What? Okay. So you can just climb up that one if you have to. I don't feel bad about having to do this one twice. I have no guilt.
I've had job interviews where I was like, I'm not getting this job, but then I got it. Like when I worked at the cinema, I applied on a whim. I did the interview on a whim, and somehow I got it. But I think it was because more of like I was qualified
What the
for
heck
it.
does an interview on a whim mean?
Like I applied because I'm like, oh, I'm kind of looking for a second job because I don't get paid a whole lot as a TA person. So I was looking for a second job on campus, and I was gonna do the writing center, and I got in contact with them, but then they didn't have any openings. So then there's just kind of this random one, and I'm like, I'll apply to it. But like everybody says the boss is great, so I might as well just do it and see. And it was kind of like I'll just do it.
What the heck? I missed a coin.
It's
Got it. Hey!
and so I applied, and then they asked me for an interview, and it was just at like the library at the coffee shop there, and I like didn't prepare really. I was just like, I feel like with interviews, my style is not to like prepare canned lines, but just to like.
Oh, I go pretty thorough, and I try and imagine like, okay, what are the top 20 questions they're going to say? What would I respond? If they're like information ones, and then I'll kind of be like, well, if they ask me about this broader thing, what are like 4 or 5 things I could point to as like evidence for this? So not as much canned, but very much like
Well,
here
prepared.
and then I'll be like, okay, here are the top 3 points that I need to get across. So I'll have like 3 things that it's like, okay, make sure you mention this. When I first moved to Milwaukee, I was really just kind of looking for anything. I wasn't in a rush to find long-term employment, but I just kind of wanted to work something.
Yeah.
It's so many. I had an interview for the library system for a $7 25-hour job, and they made me take like an aptitude test, and it was like a 300-question aptitude test at the City Hall with like probably 70 other people. It was so excessive. Oh my god! It was like all these Dewey Decimal questions, and it was a lot. And it was probably about 4 hours to take the test. And then I heard back from them like maybe 18 months later, and they're like, "We'd like to hire you," but I'd already found something else.
Jeez.
When I was also in Milwaukee, there was a phone interview I got called for Best Buy. And they said, call... I don't know.
You can't get there in time.
This is why I wanted...
There must be some other way to get up there.
I don't think it is up there somewhere. Oh, I have no idea what... Well, if there's Donkey Kong bananas there, it must be something with that. I don't know.
Maybe if you, like, do the switches down there?
Yeah, I'm just doing one thing at a time. I had a Best Buy interview, which, again, I don't really know why. I didn't really want to work at Best Buy.
Yeah.
But, they said, call at this time, we'll do an interview. And I called, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And they had never heard of it, and then the interviewing manager wasn't in. So then I just waited for like half an hour. And then eventually she's like, okay, she'll talk to you now. And she asked me like 2 questions, and then never talked to me again. And to be fair, I think even those 2 small questions they asked me, I did a really bad job on it, because I was just like, this sucks, I can't believe that they didn't even... So they were like, and I was like, oh, blah, blah.
Yeah. You're like, I'm already out the door anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I interviewed at Wells Fargo. I don't remember what that was for or why, but that was a phone interview, and they never called me after that. I did an interview for a phone fixing store, because I'd worked at Batteries Plus Bulbs, right? So I knew how to fix phones. So I did an interview there, and it was really weird, because it's like this buff guy who talks about CrossFit for like 30 minutes. And the whole time, the whole time, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds so cool. Because I think at that point I was more hurting for a job. That was later in the season.
And you're like, it's time to butt kiss.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And then he's brought me and he's like, you can just hang out here at the store. I was like, because it had been like an hour and a half of talking to him interview, and he's like, you can just hang out here as long as you want. And I was like, what the heck? Am I supposed to just like stay here? I didn't really understand. So then I hung out for a while and just kind of watched them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
It's supposed to be like, check out what a typical day is like or something? Or?
I don't know. It was like 4 in the afternoon, and they were just sitting there because there's nothing going on. I wasn't really talking to them much. I guess I could have been more
sociable.
Was this where the...
No, it was all the way up at the top. I think there's something you got to do before you can get it.
I think I had to pee really bad too, so that was also bothering me.
I was gonna say that's got to be hard for you to have to be 45 minutes in a location. But
during my casino interview, I couldn't, because they did the interview. Oh, I gotta go outside. I did the interview, and he was like, "We'll give you a tour around the place." And I had to ask to go to the bathroom during it because I couldn't. It had already been like an hour and a half. I couldn't wait any longer. Okay, so this is Donkey Kong banana stuff out here too. There's probably one of those Billy Bongos or something around here.
Sure.
I gotta get down.
It unlocks something.
There's a lot going on.
That's all.
Whose balloon was that? Oh, tiny.
But that's all tiny stuff.
I'm gonna come back.
Now we're getting to the good part. I think I like this area the best, just because I like
this mushroom.
The big mushroom. I think it's fun.
Mushrooms are neat. I'm trying to figure. Are all the little Quackerdacker guys in this building?
I don't think I've already defeated one.
Oh yeah, you got the Donkey Kong one.
Yeah. I would say shoot all these.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what comes
first, and then.
So I had to pee. I think my casino interview was one of those ones that is barely even an interview. That was one of the ones where it's like, we just need somebody. They just like, they're like, can you do work? And it's like, yeah. I thought my interview for teaching English in Japan, I thought it went really bad. I was super nervous the whole time, but I ended up getting hired, so I don't understand. I think that's another thing you'll notice, and this is a weird reciprocal effect.
Oh, you already shot hers. It's just left.
The more... I think in my history, the more confident you feel about an interview, the worse chances you have. And the more you're like, whatever, the more likely it is.
I agree.
There's a karmic...
I so agree with that.
There's an astrological, sagittarial balance to it.
There you go. That's what you
so
need.
that's what... Oh, that'll do it.
Ooh, banana. That's always fun.
Mm-hmm. Because all the time...
And when you're more relaxed, you seem more confident, too.
Oh my god, like I had a YMCA interview, and I was like, no offense to the YMCA, I was like, I do not really care that much about getting the job. So I was very lackadaisical in the interview, and they hired me right away.
And it was, I think part of it's just like the easy breeziness of just being like.
There's some flaws with the job interview system, though. I kind of hate it.
Oh, I mean, of course.
Because it feels like there's so much pressure to, like,
That was fun.
present a you that is not you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like, how can I make myself seem as... And then there's those stupid questions like, what's your biggest weakness? But they don't want you to be, like, genuinely thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to say something that's actually not a weakness. And if you do say something that's a weakness, then you have been labeled as, like, you're not going to be good at the job because you're... It's just stupid stuff like that.
You mean it's not... Like, I should say, like, my weakness is I just love working too much. And sometimes that
you're
gets
joking,
in the way.
but
But that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, you haven't done as many of these, but they always ask this, and you have to be like, well, my biggest weakness is I tend to be very long-term focused, which means sometimes I miss stuff on the day. Like, you just say nonsense that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I mean, I can understand some things. I think because I interviewed as a teacher and that kind of stuff, like, that is a little more, and I think with, like, other things that aren't, like, just, like, a menial task kind of job.
And that's the other thing.
There you can be like, oh, this skill of mine is something I want to develop.
But that's the thing is those jobs don't ask that. The jobs that ask that is like 7-Eleven. They'll be like, tell us you're great. It's like stuff where like a lot of the jobs that ask questions like that, they might as well just be asking like, do you have a pulse? Like Walmart will be like what's your 5-year plan?
Oh.
And it's like, my 5-year plan is, to God's sakes, be anywhere other than here.
And it's like, everybody knows it too. Everybody knows that people
No, I don't
use
think...
Walmart
I
as
think,
temporary
like,
employment.
I think entry-level employee managers can have, misplaced egos.
Ooh, this will be fun.
Because I think...
Oh, yeah.
I think nobody wants to really work entry-level. And I don't mean, like, entry-level at a company where you're going to work your way up to the top, which also isn't a real thing, but that's a discussion for a different day.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, I need to make money, and you need somebody who can do anything. I mean...
Oh!
I think sometimes the managers get that sense of power, and they have some sort of, like... But it's like, no, you're a peon, too. We're all peons for Bezos, or whoever... I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't like Amazon.
Did you hear Jeff Bezos made $14 billion in a day or something?
Sounds right. I just can't get over the headline that I was talking about before, where Jeff Bezos becomes first trillionaire due to coronavirus.
Yeah. It's just, it's everything the books warn us about.
It's, okay, good. I thought I was gonna miss that one.
Ooh.
What do you think I'm doing here?
I think that...
That's the only one I could probably hit. Oh,
Or-
wait, there's 3?
No, there's 2.
There's 3 I could choose.
No, because the second one just goes to the third one. Yeah, I'd go there.
I think this is just a new back. Oh, that's what I gotta do?
Yep.
I'm gonna miss this. You do this part for me.
Oh gosh. Is it the B or the A?
It's the A.
Okay.
David!
Ooh.
Wait, what? There's another one? What just happened?
I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe it's just like this is the path you're supposed
Oh,
to
what
take.
the heck?
Oh!
Well, here's the long and short of it. I don't want to do that again. And I really don't care, because I feel like the bonus barrel is probably also difficult, so I give up.
Whoop.
What would you like? What would be like if you? I mean, you've interviewed people before, right?
Yeah.
How would you model your? You know what else is really funny? Do you ever see some of the really stupid things that like go on at like Google and Tesla interviews, stuff like that? I always see this stuff. It'll be like Google. The first question they'll ask you at an interview will be like, what is a manhole made of? Or like, what's the circumference of the Earth? Or they ask you like weird random questions and like truer or like trick questions. You never see stuff like that?
No, I haven't
They'll
seen
be
anything
like,
that.
Elon Musk puts a problem in front of you, and if you can't solve it, then you're not hired. Or stuff like that. It's like, shut up.
Nobody cares.
Shut up. What would your job interview be like if I walk in? I'm like, hello, sir. It's good to see you.
I'm so relaxed.
No, you're giving the interview.
I know. I'm so relaxed.
No,
like, I
you're-
don't care. I don't want to be like the asshole. Because I feel like you said, managers can be assholes, and I'm as a teacher, I try not to be that way, and as a manager, I try not to be that way. So like, I want to make it as low. I want to make it as low of like a stressor as possible.
What do you look for in an interview?
Well, I would. Here's why I would advocate for the way I do it, because when you make an environment less stressful, then you see how people like naturally or more naturally tend to like interact with one another. So then I feel like you get a better read on what their personality's like.
Well, what kind of personality are you looking for?
So generally what I was looking for when I was interviewing was just like people who could work with other people, because with our job that we have at the cinema, there's like a lot of old people that come. Even though it's on campus, it's like old people can come. I think you gotta go on the other side.
What the monkeys?
And a lot of like weird patrons that come, and so it's like they gotta have good people skills, or at least be like nice to like people in order to navigate some of these things, because like we have a bunch of weird people that come, and like it's just a little crazy sometimes. So it's good to have people who are generally like amicable and nice and caring and kind.
Do you ask like, what's your favorite movie?
No.
Oh,
I'm not a cinephile, and I was hired as the manager, so I can't be like, well, you have to. I mean, generally we like to have them be people who are in the film department, just because then it's like a lot of the people that we hire, like
a lot of people in the film department need jobs, probably.
yeah, and like we hire for people who like are practicing projection too, and so it's like if they want to be projectors.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No, and so it's like it's great that they get experience working with like 16mm and 35mm film and all that stuff. So like with that, it's a little different interviewing for that position than it would be for like, you know, somebody who's gonna work the concessions area. But still, it's like in general, we want people who are going to hopefully do something with cinema in the future.
I also interviewed at the Up Down, the arcade bar.
Oh yeah!
And that was one of their questions, was like, what's your favorite video game? Or just like talk about your favorite video games.
What'd you say?
I talked about Banjo-Kazooie, I guess. I think you probably never heard it. I should have said like Mario or something. Is why I didn't get it.
I really like Super Smash Bros.
I think in the course of 3 or 4 months, I had maybe like 30 job interviews. I had a hard time.
Gosh,
I had a hard time finding a fit when I first came to Milwaukee.
Well, Milwaukee was the only place I got accepted to for the PhD, and also it was only one of 2 places I was accepted to for the masters. And usually for PhD they interview you too, but like I didn't even get to the point of interviewing. Like I wasn't on the shortlist for any of them.
Really?
Yep.
Well, you weren't even. Do you have to interview to be on the shortlist though?
Nope.
Oh.
So, which I thought was kind of whatever. But, because it was like...
Was that based off your Breath of the Wild paper?
No, I did it based off of like what I was going to do for my thesis.
Was that the Papers, Please one?
No, it was about like queer fan creation and that kind of stuff. Whatever. So mine was...
Should have just said I like Mario.
Yes, I should have.
We had the same problem.
But I think like, and what's nice about Milwaukee is that there's like 2 people at Milwaukee who like study gaming specifically, and one's in anthropology and one's in the English department. Whereas like other places I applied, like at UW or at like Madison, and then also at like U of M, is they didn't have anybody who studied video games.
Oh, it's more.
So like part of the PhD process is there are people who advocate for you to be in there. So basically, like, professors will see applications and be like, I want this student to come. And so I think part of my problem is that nobody studied video games, so they're like, we don't...
That doesn't surprise me at all. In fact, I'm surprised that even Milwaukee had that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else, because there's not really any established... I mean, I bet there's some stuff in, like, LA and California, but that would be much more creator-driven.
Yes.
Versus...
Yeah, that tends to be it. Or it tends to be, like, comparative literature, which is... I hate it.
What's comparative literature like?
It's like...
Like, I like The Great Gatsby and you like Catcher in the Rye, so I'm smart.
No, it's like... Basically, it was kind of like the catch-all phrase in, like, the 70s and 80s, and still somehow happens today, where it's, like, transitioning from English departments from just looking at literature to, like, also... like looking at movies and TV shows and that kind of stuff. And so comparative literature basically is just like, we're using some of the same theories that we use in literature and then use them to discuss games or movies. And it's like, it doesn't need to be comparative. It can just literally just be like its own thing, but whatever.
Well, a lot of people think video games are like things for idiots and dummies, like little kids.
Which, hey, I'm not mad at. Dummies need to play too. Dummies need to have fun.
Oh, okay, we got these guys.
We have a lot of bananas too. Let's see if we get some.
Yeah, I'm not in a super big rush to do this though, because I know we need more golden bananas. We might have enough, though. We'll see. We'll probably cut it off after I turn these all in.
Yeah, but there's a YouTube channel. It's like gaming as literature, and like it's fine. I get it, but I just feel like, and I already experienced this. I just sat in on one class.
You already.
I already experienced this because I sat in on one class.
I'm saying that because I study standard English.
What?
You said already.
Already. Well, I studied English.
You didn't study standard English, I can tell.
I studied English, and I know that communication is not about being standard.
No, but for some reason there's this stupid thing called standard English, and that's how you're supposed to. I don't understand why. It's got like 30. I think it's got 30 or 34 different letters, but it's the only proper way to talk, I guess.
Ooh, okay. But I went to this class, and then they were like, "How is this game like a book? How is this game like other things?" I'm like, "This is dumb. I don't want to talk about this." And I yelled, but that was okay.
You yelled?
Somebody was like, "Is this cinematic? Is this blah?" And I'm like, it doesn't matter because every kind of communication you can compare to the other.
You know, the irony of it all is that, like we talk about, video game companies and creators try so incredibly hard to be cinematic and emulate movies. So in a weird way, you're actually wrong.
Well, they don't mean like cinematic as in like the game designers tried to do it. They're like, how is this like a movie?
But that's the thing.
It's not about
they
intentional
try
design.
so hard for making video games like movies, like like The Last of Us and like Uncharted, stuff like that. It's like it so wants to be like a movie blockbuster.
There's so much of what I've read. It's like either like games are distinctly unique and there's nothing like them, or games are like movies or TV shows, and I'm like, it doesn't really.
It's weird though because it's like it's reductive to call it that, but also it's like so much of the industry insists that it has to be that too.
Yeah.
So it's like you're the one fighting against.
I'm fighting against academia
and the creators.
Well, because to me it's just like it's another
medium.
It's another medium, and like it has similarities to other mediums, and it has dissimilarities to other mediums, and like that doesn't make it inherently better or worse. It just makes it. But I also approach it like from the angle of like they call it cultural studies basically, and like I just approach it from that angle where it's like it doesn't.
It seems like
it doesn't matter what we call it. Like I'm not interested in like finding a label for something. To me, it's like more important to see how it's playing out with people who actually consume it.
But it seems like the more cinematic and movie-like that people make games, the more commercially and critically successful they are.
Yes, critically successful like beyond gaming.
I mean, like I said, stuff like Last of Us. Everyone like those are like the best games ever made. But it's like those are games that are really kind of like. I think, or like stuff, like a lot of the story-driven games, like movie-like ones, a lot of the best ones, but a lot of them don't really benefit the medium.
Oh no.
So it's like games that are heralded as being like medium defining are the ones that are afraid to commit to the medium.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's like they're very aspirational and like trying to be like.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think it's very unimaginative.
No, that's what I mean is like they're very aspirational to be like, let's do it like a movie. Let's do it, and they don't want to like actually do it like a game.
I think the more creative and the more difficult thing is to make it stand out as its own thing instead of trying to emulate.
Well, yeah, but it's like they're trying to make it appear as if it's a game. You know what I mean?
I don't like it.
Basically, I think people are dumb.
People are lazy.
And they also just want things that give them money. That upper right one needs to be switched.
How do you know?
Because it's not. It doesn't match up.
This one?
Upper right.
Oh, that's Donkey Kong's head. There we go. I thought you meant upper left. I was like, it's blank. Oh, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.